Hey there, my name is Michael Blanc, and if you want to learn more about getting started with apartment building investing, you are in the right place. In this episode, I'm going to give you a case study where we take a 21 unit, make some very minor tweaks, and over the 5 years, we're going to add $1 million to our net worth with this deal. So let's take a look. So this is a story of how to add $1 million to your net worth in 5 years by purchasing a 21 unit apartment building at fair market value using other people's money and make small tweaks by raising the rents by just $100 per unit and controlling the costs somewhat. Sounds a bit unbelievable, but I'll tell you, I came to this understanding. I'm a house flipper. I flipped probably 3 dozen houses, and one day I met another multifamily unit investor, and he goes, "Son, why are you wasting your time with houses?" I'm like, "Well, they're making great money." He goes, "Yeah, but did you know you make money 3 ways with real estate?" I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, you got the cash flow, which I got that, right? Cash flow, that's cool. Tenants paying down the loan, that makes sense. And also from the appreciation that you control." I'm like, "Appreciation I control? What does that mean?" With houses, you don't control. I mean, you control it somewhat because you have the after repair value, but you're very dependent on comps and the market as well. So that was interesting. So then he kind of showed me this, and I'm going to show you the case study right now on where we basically take this deal. And so let me set this deal up for you. So we're going to purchase a building at fair market value. It's going to be an 8% cap rate, which you can get in various parts of the country. This is not an unusual thing. Now, the rents are $200 under market. And we know this because our property manager tells us to under market, and the reason is it's an older owner who hasn't raised rents in 5 years. He just doesn't want to deal with it. He's making good money. The building's essentially paid off for. He doesn't really care, but we care because we're going to push a little bit more on it. So in our projections, I'm going to show you we're only increasing the rents by $100 in 2 years. We're not even going to the full two. Again, being conservative. Now the expenses are currently at 55%. And our property manager feels that we can tighten those up to 45% over 3 years. So we're just tweaking things a little bit. Now, if you add all these profit centers together, you're going to see that our total profit over 5 years is going to be $963,544. So let's get into the case study right now. Now, here are the high-level numbers of how this is going to work. And once we're done here, I'll actually show you how to model this so we can see where we get those numbers from. But here's the high level. It's 21 units. We're paying a purchase price of just under 1.4, which, as we'll see, is an 8 cap of actual expenses income, which is 113,000. The rent per unit right now is currently $1,000 per unit. We're putting 25% down. The income times 21 units is 252,000. Our expenses are currently at 55% of income. And we calculated debt service. That's our cash flow here, giving us a monthly cash flow of $2,603. All right, now, after 5 years, actually after 2 years, we're projecting an increase of rent by $200 per unit, and our expenses to come down to 45%. And as you can see here, they're just about the same as they were, but because income is going up, it decreases our percent, but it matters. So the net operating income is considerably higher than when we bought it, $166,000. Let's look at the resale of our profit. So we purchased at an 8 cap, which is the prevailing cap rate in this market. But based on this higher net operating income of $166,000, if we resell after say 5 years, the value now is just above, well, it's almost $2.1 million. We return the initial down payment of $354,000. We repay the outstanding loan. We have 6.5% sales cost. Here's our gross profit from resale. Principal reduction over that time is $107,000, and the appreciation is $529,000. The combined cash flows over those 5 years, which is an average between $2,600 and $7,000 per month, depending on when you come in, is $326,000. You add all that together, and it's $963,000 profit over 5 years for this deal. So is this an outlandish scenario? No. Is this very doable? Absolutely. Now let's take a look at how the model is, how we come up with some of these numbers. Okay, here we are in the syndicated deal analyzer that we're going to use to model what we just talked about. So the example I just showed you was some of the numbers, but we don't really know where they came from. This is where it comes from. So let's go through this step by step. We have 21 units that we're purchasing. The asking price is 1.485, and we're purchasing this at 1.4 million, which is about 67,000 a unit. And this is something that we can do on both coasts, east, west, and the middle. It's not an outrageous per unit cost. It's a little higher in some of the middle part of the country, but certainly a doable price. As you can see here, the down payment is 25%. We're paying 6% interest, which is high. We can actually do better than that. Again, very conservative. Over 25 years, the cap rate is 8%. The gross scheduled income is $252,000, and you notice here I'm not doing any vacancy or concessions because the net rent is $1,000 for each of the units. So I'm just keeping it a little simpler, though the analyzer obviously accommodates all that stuff. Some of these things are going to be a little simpler just to get over the lesson, but does not take away from the point, which is commercial real estate can be used to add significant wealth and value. But let's keep going. Then we go down here to the expenses. They are 55% of the income, and then everything else is kind of calculated from there, the debt service and the cash flow. Now let's click on the P&L tab. The P&L tab projects profit and loss line by line item over 10 years or until you sell or refinance. So by default, the rent goes up by 3% and the expenses go up by 3%. But we're going to override that because we have a value add play here. So in year one, we have $1,000 in rent, which times 21 units times 12 months is $252,000. Now, and that's after year one. So really, technically, what this is saying is that we're keeping the rents exactly the same for the first 12 months we take over the deal, which we know we can do better. Now, year two, the rents are going up only by $100. Remember, we're $200 under market. We're saying, well, we're going to only do $100. So by end of year two, we will average $1,100 per unit, which increases the income from $252,000 to $277,000. All right, so that's on the top end. Let's look at the bottom end. The bottom end, we're saying that the expenses of $138,600, which is 55% of income, we're going to keep exactly the same. We're not doing anything to the expenses, really. And then we're saying after year two, the expenses basically stay exactly the same. Look at them. The $138,600 stay exactly the same. The only reason they're 50% is because their income went up. And then what we're saying in year three, we're decreasing it by 5% down to $128,000. And that's because we're negotiating the insurance. So we're getting insurance. We have appealed the taxes. We've renegotiated some of our contracts, et cetera, et cetera. But really the expenses are being optimized only slightly. Let's go down here to some of the more key metrics here. Look at the net operating income. It goes from 113 to 138 to 157, and after that, the model increases the expenses by 3% and makes the income go up by 3%. At that point, it's stable. So net operating income goes up to about 157,000, and our monthly cash flow, or our cash flow goes from 31,000 up to 74,000. All right, here we are on the exit strategies tab, and this one calculates the overall returns given different exit strategies. For example, a simple sale in year 5, 7, 9, or even a cash out refinance in year 3, hold, and sale in year 7. And you set that up here. For now, we're only going to do a very simple year sale in year 5. But as you can see here, you can set this as you wish. So what we want to do is over here on the right hand side is to look to see basically what the profits are from a sale in year 5. And you can see here if you change this, the numbers change, but we're doing it in year 5. All right, so from our numbers from before, the net operating income at the end of year 5 is $166,000. We're selling at an 8 cap. That results in a sales price of just under $2.1 million, 6.5% sales costs. There's your outstanding loan balance that needs to be repaid. We have to return the cash that was put in, $354,000, and that gives us also a principal reduction of $107,000, and then the appreciation is $530,000. Now, if you want to see all the returns all in one easy place, you click on the Returns tab. and it shows you the returns given several different scenarios when you have investors. In this case, we're going to ignore that right now. We're going to look at the summary of combined cash flows and returns, and it shows you, line 1, what the cash was that was invested, what the cash flows were, so the cash flow distributions, the cash and cash return, then the net proceeds from refinance or sale. In this case, it was a sale in year 5, and the amount of money that was returned to the members. So if you look all the way to the right, it calculates the overall return of $963,000. So that's where we get the $963,000 of profit from. It breaks down by the combination of the loan repayment or the amortization, which was about $107,000, then the gross profits from the sale of about $636,000, as well as the combined cash flows over 5 years of $326,000. Add all those three together, and you get $963,000. So let's summarize here. So we raised rents by only $100, even though we could have gone to $200, and we decreased expenses by 10% over 3 years, which raised the income by $53,000 per year, which doesn't seem like a huge amount, but when you apply an 8% cap rate to it, we just increased the value of the building by $660,000 just by these small tweaks. Isn't that staggering? Isn't that unbelievable? It's crazy. And this doesn't even count the principal reduction of $121,000, meaning your tenants paid down your mortgage while this is going on, and the cash flow of $407,000 you had over 5 years. So you took a $350,000 down payment, optimized the performance, tweaked it a little bit, and then parlayed that into $1 million in 5 years. I mean, this is crazy, right? And this is why I think multifamily is the best way to replace your income in 3 to 5 years. There's no other business that allows you to access to very, very cheap and unlimited capital. It's the most teachable, the most replicatable thing you can do all over the country, most parts in the country, which is why I think it's the best way to achieve your financial goals using real estate. And this is why my primary focus now is helping people do their first deal, because I know if I can help you do your first deal, then the second and third deal will follow in rapid, almost automatic succession. In fact, I call it the law of the first deal, and I've got like 4 dozen data sets on podcasts and other places of people who do their first deal of any size, and they have replaced their income in 3 to 5 years. So this is just a powerful example of even a very small deal can make a huge impact in your life and really change your life. So anyway, I hope this video inspires you to do the same. Really take a look at apartment buildings, and I wish you all luck. If you want to connect with me, leave me a comment below. Love to hear from you. If you're interested in finding out more about apartment building investing, just click on my profile below, and you can see a list of all my previous apartment building investing resources and blog articles. If you have any kind of questions or comments, let me know below. Love to connect with you. All right, guys, appreciate it. Talk to you next time.